Hello and welcome to Missing Miles podcast. I am Gary Howard, and this is an unsolved and missing person podcast that I find around the United States as a truck driver that I come across. And today we are in California. But before I start, let's talk about the True Crime Podcast and Paranormal Festival that's happening in Denver, Colorado at the Denver Marriott Westminster. I have not been saying where it's at, but it's going to be at the Denver Marriott Westminster. And let's talk about the podcast. The purpose of the True Crime and Paranormal Podcast Festival is allow you, the listener, to meet and interact with your favorite podcasters and content creators. Who knows, you might even find some new favorite ones there. The festival features live recordings of podcast episodes, including many crossover collaborations you won't hear anywhere, which I'm hoping to do myself. You can also enjoy a lively panel discussion where podcasters pull back the curtains for a unique view into the creation of a show. Past topics have included how podcasters select their cases, the ethics of an amateur investigation, and the importance of diversity and inclusivity. We also are excited to added the paranormal cases to our panel and roundtables as everything. And they are really towards victim advocacy. So if that's something you're interested in, tickets are on sale right now to the True Crime Podcast Festival.com, Denver, Colorado, July 12th through the 14th. I will be there, and if anything changes, I'll be doing a panel too with Nina instead from Already Gone Podcast. She changed her mind. Hopefully she does not, but if not, I will definitely be there myself. So see you there. Today's case brings us to California, where I'm currently at right now. I try to do cases that I find within a state that I'm currently at. And the case is Khadijah Britton from Covelo, California. Khadijah graduated Brown Valley High School in 2012, which was no feat. The reservation suffered from a statistically low graduation rate, but Khadijah defied the odds and had hopes of going to college and pursuing a sports-related career. Her family was sure she could do it. However, after graduation, her life took a turn, and she started partying, using drugs on a regular basis, and spending time with the older people older than her. One such person was Negie Fallis, a convicted felon who Khadijah Britton met and started dating shortly after graduating. He had a long record of domestic violence, a kidnapping, and drug-related charges. Over the years leading to her disappearance, Khadijah and Negie's relationship grew increasingly violent and abusive. Though at first, Khadijah assured her mom that he didn't hit her. This all changed on January 29, 2018, when Negie violently assaulted Khadijah with a hammer. Khadijah dropped the charges 10 days later on February 7th, on February 10th. When her family members hadn't seen her in a while, they filed a missing person report to the county sheriff's office. During their investigation, a witness told officers that of the night of February 7, 2018, Khadijah was kidnapped by her ex-boyfriend, Negie Fallis, and his accomplice, Antonia Bautista-Dalson. According to the same witness, Fallis drove to the house where Khadijah was and demanded that she got into his black Mercedes sedan while holding a gun on her head, chasing her around the car, insulting her. He and his accomplice were both apprehended after this incident, but nobody has seen her or heard from her since that night. Law enforcement did not have enough evidence to charge the two, though they believe he is responsible for endangering Khadijah. Her family believes people know more about what happened, but are afraid to come forward to hear the fear of retribution within the Round Valley tribal community. And by the way, she is indigenous, and this is the community that she lived in. Khadijah Britton was 23 years old at the time, and the disappearance, she was between 5'8" and 5'9" tall, and weighed about 150 to 180 pounds. She has a tattoo on her right forearm of the word Walacki, Wailacki, and she is sometimes referred to her nickname Dig, D-I-G. She was last seen wearing a black sweatshirt, black t-shirt, and blue stretch pants. There is currently a $10,000 reward for information leading to arrest and conviction of the individuals involved in her disappearance or maybe finding her. So go over a timeline of the incidents that happened January 30th, 2018. A few weeks prior to her disappearance, Fallis reported violently assaults her with a hammer and tries to kidnap her unsuccessfully. Khadijah files a report soon after the incident. Then on January 31st, 2018, Khadijah visits a local domestic violence center. Khadijah and her father visit a local domestic violence center and drafts a restraining order against her former boyfriend, Negie Fallis. Khadijah would later skip her hearing for the restraining order on February 5th, 2018. On February 7th, 2018, just hours before her disappearance, Britton goes to retract her case against Fallis, deeming that she did not want to pursue charges. Sounds like he was insulting her if she didn't drop the charges. According to witnesses, on February 7th, the same day, Khadijah's ex-boyfriend, Negie Fallis, arrives at her friend's home, demanding that she leave the home to speak with him. When she complies, Khadijah is allegedly forced into a black Mercedes sedan at gunpoint by Negie Fallis, the ex-boyfriend. Fallis' new girlfriend along with him, Antonia Bautista, and accomplished her the kidnapping. Police begin the searching right there. So February 10th, she was reported missing by her family. February 12th, Tuesday, officials begin the actual physical search just 2 days later. In days following the missing person report filed by Khadijah's officials began searching areas they know that she frequents. At the time, authorities learned that Khadijah's disappearance may be a kidnapping. At that point, the County Detectives Bureau takes the lead on the case. Then February 19th, Negie Fallis is arrested on 6 charges related to the disappearance, so they do charge him, but I think the reward of the information is up to $50,000 from February 25th, 2018. But yeah, Negie was arrested by tribal police who are sent out to respond to numerous reports that he is hiding out at a home of Covelo. Negie is booked and charged for assault with a deadly weapon, kidnapping, attempted murder, and offers. He is held on a $200,000 bond while authorities continue searching for her. The reward for on February 20th, like I said, was $50,000. A Facebook group created to raise awareness for her case announced that there is a massive increase in the reward. Information that is now $50,000. So there you have it. If you have any information leading to this case or anything like that, you might have been there. Just like I told you, the number you could call, you can always call Crime Stoppers. That number is 805-549-7867, or you can always dial 911. Or you could call the Mendocino County at 707-463-5435. Okay, now, with that being said, I'm going to leave you off with a news conference, the Mendocino County Sheriff's Office press conference about this case, so he could go over more that I might not have gone over. So without further ado, here you go.
As possible. So as people come in, thank you very much for being here. My name is Tom Allman, I'm the sheriff, and today is a very important day. Today is a day that we're continuing the investigation of a missing person. Khadijah Britton was reported missing in February, which I'll get through the chronological order, but today we're going to cover the chronological order. We're going to talk about what happened 2 days ago. We're going to have some words from the FBI. The tribal police from Round Valley is going to speak, and the family is going to have an opportunity to speak too. The whole purpose of today is to get as much information out to the world as possible regarding a very important person from our county who's been missing. She's been missing for almost 11 months, and we're certainly trying to obtain as much information as possible regarding her. I want to start with February 10th. The February 10th is a very important day because that's the first day that the sheriff's office learned of a missing person. We had a deputy sheriff patrolling the Round Valley, and they were flagged down, and a citizen reported Khadijah missing. On the 11th, the next day, we actually worked with social media, and we were, as we call it, pinging some social media, and learned that the last activity she had was on February 7th, so 3 days prior to our notification. On the 12th, the next day, we conducted interviews in the Round Valley, and I would imagine most everyone here understands where the Round Valley is. Round Valley is the second geographically largest Indian reservation in the state of California. It's on the far eastern portion of Mendocino County. It's certainly one of the most beautiful locations we have in Northern California, if not the world. And the fact that we have a missing person, a beautiful missing person from the Round Valley is something that troubles all of us. On the 13th, so 3 days after the initial report, our detectives were on the way to conduct interviews in the Round Valley to continue the investigation. And for those of you who remember the 13th of February, there was an armed robbery in Ukiah where his car was stolen, and the driver ended up shooting at law enforcement officers north of Willits, and the driver was killed by law enforcement. And so it certainly stopped the investigation for the Round Valley part on the 13th, because some of the detectives that were on their way to Covelo were involved in the officer-involved shooting. On the 14th is when we conducted the vast majority of interviews, and we began collecting interviews. And I want to talk about the interviews that we've had in Round Valley. Over the course of this investigation, we've conducted 80 documented interviews. We've searched over 20 vehicles and properties with consent searches and 5 cell phones. We've written and executed at 6 locations search warrants for locations, 10 search warrants for telephones, and 26 search warrants for social digital media. The Mendocino County Sheriff's Office, the detective bureaus, and not the patrol division, has so far invested 3,462 hours in this investigation. And we're not saying that by saying this is the biggest we've done, but I want people to understand that we're not taking this investigation lightly. We're continuing our investigation. And by saying that since February we put 3,462 hours in this investigation, not including the 4,000 hours of search and rescue, I think is very significant to the ongoing investigation. On the 19th is something that's very important. February 19th was something very important. The main investigative lead in this case, Negie Fallis, was arrested. And the Sheriff's Office certainly appreciates Round Valley Tribal Police for locating where he was, calling the Sheriff's Office. We arrived. He was arrested there. A search warrant was executed on the house, and we found a firearm, which that firearm led us to 2 days ago, where he was sentenced to 4 years in prison, thanks to the District Attorney's Office. And as of this morning at 8:30, Negie Fallis was delivered to San Quentin, and that's where he will remain in the custody of the California Department of Corrections. I hope you'll understand that one of the reasons for the press conference is to tell the community that we believe people in the community have information. And we can tell you that Negie Fallis is not going to harm you. He's in custody at state prison. The family is going to discuss a reward later, and I can state that this morning on my way here today, I received a phone call from a person here in Ukiah who has offered through the Sheriff's Office $25,000 additional reward for the arrest and conviction of the suspect involved in the missing persons case of Khadijah. So we've worked with the FBI from the beginning. The FBI has been our partner with many forensic interviews, forensic examinations, and search warrants. And I'm certainly going to ask the assistant SAC, the supervisor in charge, to discuss it. And we will have a time where we can answer questions. But I want to cover everything that's happened so far. So yesterday, Negie Fallis, I said, was arrested. or was remanded immediately into custody on the day of sentencing for felon in possession of a firearm. Negie Fallis has spent time in prison before for felony child endangerment. Fortunately, our district attorney's office and our district attorney himself was able to get the absolute maximum possible sentence on Fallis. However, let me tell you something which is horrendous news. Proposition 57, which was passed by the voters in 2016, presents a problem to us. There is a possibility that Negie Fallis may only serve 8 months in prison if the California Department of Correction follows through with Proposition 57. And if you have questions about Proposition 57, I'm not the expert on it, but I would encourage you to research it. It certainly takes away the criminal justice ability to send bad people to prison for a long time. The district attorney and I certainly did not support Proposition 57, and it very possibly could be a huge stumbling block for keeping a bad person in prison for a long time. So, as I give this to FBI, I'm talking to the Covelo community, the Round Valley community now. There are substantial rewards on the table. We have anonymous information, California, or we're a member of WeTip, 1-800-78-CRIME. We have an anonymous tip line, 707-234-2100. And certainly any information that would get to the tribal police would get to us. We want to solve this crime. As a father myself, I certainly can understand the anxiety, the nightmares, the fright that the family has. We are continuing our investigation of this crime, that we are not stalling, we're continuing, and hopefully today, somebody out there will understand the amount of reward, and will understand that the right thing to do is get the information to us. Honestly, whether she's dead or alive, we need to find her. We need to allow the family some closure. We certainly hope and pray she's alive, but the facts are the facts, and we've briefed the family with everything. Some of you came here hoping that we would give new information, but let me say this to the family. If we have new information, when we have new information, we will not broadcast it in a press conference. We will contact the family immediately. We are not withholding any information from the family. We want you to know that. So with that, I would like to introduce our partner, Sid Patel, the Assistant Supervisor, Special Agent in charge of the San Francisco FBI.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. My name is Sid Patel. I'm the Assistant Special Agent in charge for the FBI office in San Francisco. To begin with, speaking as a father, I wanted to express my thoughts to the family. We've got this here. Can you hear me now? Hear me? Okay. Good afternoon. My name is Sid Patel. I'm one of the Assistant Special Agents in charge for the FBI office. Before I begin, I did first want to express... Can you hear me now? We'll try it now. Here we go. We try it one more time. Good afternoon. Sid Patel, Assistant Special Agent in charge. Testing, testing. All right, we'll do that. I think you've heard that 3 times now, so thank you for your patience. Sid Patel, Assistant Special Agent in charge for the San Francisco FBI office. Before I begin, speaking as a father, I just wanted to express my thoughts to the family. As a father, my thoughts are with you. Let me keep going here. We first speak to the fact that the public law 280 state, California is a public law 280 state. What that means is that it precludes the FBI from being the primary investigative service. As such, the Mendocino County Sheriff's Department is the principal investigative service. We are here to assist them. They are close partners of ours. We worked with the sheriff for many, many years. With that being said, we are fully dedicated to finding justice for Khadijah Britton, and we're committed to this. The Sheriff's Office has maintained communication with us from the onset and continues to do so. They're working diligently on this as well.
Well done, asshole, keep the horn.
We opened a what's called a domestic police cooperation case. What that means is, from an official request, we were able to help with some of our technical expertise and some of the subject matter experts that we have in different areas. For instance, Our evidence response team, they've been supporting us. We've had quite a few personnel part of that, obtaining, gathering information, sending it to our labs, different DNA analysis. We've been working on that piece. The second is called our CAST team, our cellular analysis and survey team. Those two teams are quite a bit of resources and subject matter expertise that we bring to the table there. Now, these results are still with the labs. They're in Quantico. They're in different places. As we're getting these results, we are passing them diligently and as soon as possible to the Sheriff's Department, and we will continue to do so. I think everyone can hear me now. But again, we are working collaboratively. We're working in partnership with the Sheriff's Department. We continue to do so. And I want to thank you all for your time. Thank you for your patience with the mic. And I'm going to pass it back to the Sheriff.
Thank you, Sid, and thank you for always answering our phone calls when we call. And I know that there's 3 FBI agents in town today. Thank you very much for being here. And I meet with one of your agents monthly and in person, but the rest of it is over the phone, and we appreciate you being here. So Vince Cordova from the Round Valley Tribe is here. Round Valley Tribal Police Department.
Everybody hear me? My name is Vince Cordova. I'm currently the officer in charge of the Round Valley Union Tribal Police. I just wanted to reassure everybody that the Mendocino County Sheriff's Office and the FBI are doing everything they can for this case, and they will continue to have our full support as we move forward.
Well, thank you. That's one of the biggest steps we've had on this is the fact that you were able to locate the investigative lead and allow the arrest to continue and allow the gun to be found, and I appreciate our district attorney. So with these being said, I'd like for the family representative, which I believe is Otis Brotherton. Otis, come on up.
Good afternoon, everybody. We want to thank you on behalf of Khadijah's family for being here. I have her grandfather up here, Ronnie Hostler, and he asked me if I would come and speak for the family. Our biggest thing right now is we want closure. It's been 10 months, and the family's been through a lot of grief, trauma, hardship, drama, people calling in false leads. We have the tip lines, we have the rewards, and now that he's in prison, now we find out maybe 8 months, it's time for people to step forward, and come in and call and let us know what you know, because we know there's people in Covelo that know what happened to Khadijah. And we want her brought home. We want closure so the family could at least, take care of the process of healing themselves. And that's all that we have to say is we just want closure for now, please. So you'll come forward, call the line, do what you got to do to bring closure to the family. Thank you.
Ronnie Osler, Khadijah's my granddaughter, grandma. We did ask the father and the mother if Otis could speak for us, and they both agreed that he could, but Otis wanted me to say something, but I want to know, it's 10 months now, I want to know why my granddaughter is still missing. That's what I want to know, why I never have heard a motive yet. I don't understand why we're not hearing a motive.
I apologize for that. Their cause is not about
I think you all want to know why there was not a motive in this case. My granddaughter didn't have to be killed by Negie Fallis, and I believe that he killed her. I believe he killed her in cold-blooded murder. And I want to know why he had to kill her. He already had 3 or 4 different women. And why he had to kill my granddaughter. There had to be a motive behind that. And the motive that I believe is that our granddaughter knew something that this guy did, and that was the only way he could keep her quiet. On the domestic violence, she was drug out of his grandma's house and beaten with a hammer. We have pictures of her beaten. that case was all dropped because she wasn't there to witness for against him. Why? That's one of the biggest questions I have is why? Why is my granddaughter still missing? Sorry. Do you guys all believe what I'm telling you guys? No. We want to know why. Why is she still missing? Why this guy had to kill my granddaughter?
So if you are listening to this and you know something, if you think you know something, if you believe you know where she is, there's many opportunities. There's every opportunity in the world for you to contact us. We will keep you anonymous. We need to bring closure for the family and for the community. So with that in mind, there's several press people here. Are there any questions specifically for the investigation? Yes, for the Press Democrat.
Hi, you had mentioned something about WeTip. Has that been around, and can you explain what that is?
So 1-800-78-CRIME WeTip is actually, believe it or not a completely free service. Law enforcement agencies have to pay money for it, so we have started a new contract with them so we can be associated with WeTip. This certainly is not the only missing person case that we have in Mendocino County, and I want to give you some numbers here. We currently have 19 active missing persons cases over the last 3 years. I don't believe this would be statistically higher than any other county law enforcement agency, but we have 19 missing person cases. And going back into the 70s, we have 30 unsolved homicide cold cases. These are cases that are not just put on a shelf and ignored. These are cases that are investigated as often as our detectives receive information. And I certainly want to say that we have an unsolved homicide in Manchester that occurred on the Manchester Point Arena Indian Reservation, which is very actively being involved in investigated.
Going back to my question, can you explain what WeTip is and when you started using that specifically, and why is that better than the other options that you
So
have?
WeTip we started using today, as of today. WeTip guarantees your anonymity. They will keep you quiet, your name quiet, whether it's received through the internet or the phone. There's cash payment up to $1,000 for WeTip. That's not associated with what the family's saying or what I said earlier regarding the reward. WeTip is based in throughout America, and there are people who do not trust local law enforcement. There are people who do not trust the FBI. There are people who do not trust government. WeTip is a non-government agency that allows for information to be brought in, and they deliver it to us, and we follow up on their information.
Thank
Any
you.
press? Yes, Paul.
Is the investigation focused solely in Mendocino County or adjoining counties?
Our investigation has gone throughout Northern California. We've served search warrants throughout Northern California. So without getting specifically, it's out. It's not just so focused in Mendocino County.
Thank you.
Are there any other press members? Press, yes.
Have you utilized helicopters, drones, and cadaver dogs in your search?
We've utilized human remain dogs, cadaver dogs. We've utilized helicopters. The family actually privately contracted with a helicopter also. And we've, as I said earlier, our search and rescue hours are well above 4,000 hours of the search and rescue that are following up leads. And now I will say this, we have received some leads from psychics, from people who are in different parts of the world who have a vision. And when we follow up a lead, we try to put some type of credibility into the lead of is this going to help us investigate the crime? So with all due respect to psychics, we are not following up every psychic lead, but any lead that appears to be substantial with any type of information, we're following up. Any other questions?
How many tips have you received so far?
On our tip line, our 700-234-2100 tip line, 707-234-2100, we've received approximately 60 tips, and I'm not including the additional 20 tips that were from psychics.
You had also mentioned that you used social media to track pings. Where was the last?
I'm sorry, your question regarding?
I was asking about the pings. You had said that the last ping that you had gotten was from the 7th. Do you have more information about where that was and when?
We are not going to get into the specifics of the information that we have on that. Okay, to the family members, we want to continue the conversation and communication. If there's anything that's happened, please let us know. Connie, our thoughts are with you every day. We appreciate your support, your understanding on this one, and it's a very important case to us. So with that, we're going to conclude the press conference. Thank you very much.
Thank you for listening to that. When I do find a news conference that covers the case, I'll play that, because I know sometimes I'm not the very clear person to understand, but I do want to put these cases out there and bring recognition to this. So, with that being said, how many times have I said with that being said? You could join thank you for listening. If you're still here, you could join my Facebook group at Missing Miles. Also, if you have any cases that you might want to have on this show, you could put it there, or you could email me. I've been given the wrong email address. It is missingmiles70@gmail.com. Instead of just Missing Miles, I've been just saying Missing Miles, but it's missingmiles70@gmail.com. And thank you for listening. Also, check out my other podcast called Truck Stop Murder and True Crime Podcast, where I do talk about truck stops they stay at during my 10-hour break or 30-minute break, and a murder that happened around it. All right, well, take care. Stay safe.